Let's start with today's topic. Today's topic is about effective ways to deal with frustration. And I thought this was a really good topic for us to consider because it's building up upon itself. The first day we talked about building self-confidence even in times of uncertainty. The second day we talked about how to be motivated. Yesterday which is the third day, we talked about how to overcome negative thoughts. Now, what you will notice is that the subjects that we have been talking about so far is really gearing us towards a direction of an upward movement. And what happens sometimes is that when we are making changes, when we are transforming, when we are making progress, and when we have become very deliberate about wanting to be positive in our lives, we may find that there are times where things aren't going as fast as we want them to go. Things aren't turning out in the way that we like them to turn out. We may find that we have tried something and failed at it, and we get discouraged and we get frustrated. So I wanted us to talk about that today, because what you will find is that as you implement all of these personal development growth tools and strategies that I'm sharing with you, it is inevitable that life is going to kick in. It is inevitable that you're going to get frustrated, that your plans don't work out, efforts don't come to bear. You expect so much of yourself and so much is going on that you end up feeling frustrated. I want to teach you how, even when you are frustrated, you can handle it without giving up on your goals. So we're talking about frustration, we're talking about how to deal with it, we're talking about the fact that frustration is a part of life. Now, let me tell you the definition of frustration that I researched and I thought was a really good definition. So what is frustration? Frustration is an automated and natural reaction that occurs whenever things go wrong, not as expected and not as planned, and we feel that we have run into a brick wall. Frustration is when plans do not work out and people often feel like wanting to give up and quit. That is basically what frustration is. Have you guys ever felt frustrated? Let me know in the comments. I know for sure that I have felt frustrated. If you have ever felt frustrated, just drop in the comments and say, you know what? I too have felt frustrated. Like I can so relate. Because the truth is, like I said, frustration is a part of life. We're all going to run into it. We're all going to have things not go the way that we want us to go. But it's really important that we can build a level of resilience to give us a stronger way of coping with times of frustration so that we don't give up. Right? So when you have things that frustrate you, it doesn't mean that you should be like, oh, well, that's it, that's the end. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try again the second time, the third time, the fifth time, or even 1 millionth time. Frustration is a form of distraction if you do not know how to harness it. And frustration can often lead you to miss out on your opportunities, miss out on your breakthroughs, simply because you have not learned how to harness it and how to focus it. That when you get frustrated, it should not be the time where you decide to give up. It should not be the time where you decide you've had enough. It should not be the time where you refuse to push through, because oftentimes frustration is actually an indication that you are almost at your destination. I've got 2 children. One is 20, one is 11. And I remember when I was having them, when I was actually in labor with both of these children, that my worst pain, my worst labor pains came just before they actually were going to be born. Like just before I was about to push them, that's when the worst pains. And I remember so vividly during those times feeling like, oh my God, I can't do it, it's too much, and I wanted to give up. And I think that's how frustration is sometimes. Sometimes frustration can make us feel so overwhelmed, so exhausted, so fed up that we want to give up on, we want to just, forget pursuing the goal or the dream. But it really is in that time that we have to press harder and we have to push further. So let me give you 4 tips today, guys, on how you can effectively deal with frustration and how you can overcome it. Remember, frustration is not a bad thing. Frustration is a part of life. However, how you handle it will determine how you will get through it. So number 1, to deal with frustration, You should learn to analyze what went wrong. Oftentimes, where we are in the middle of frustration, we're just angry that things have gone wrong. We're just mad that things have gone wrong. But we don't take time to actually figure out, wait, hold on, what was the problem? What did I not do, or what did I do that caused this situation? Or what were the chain of events, or what happened in this situation that resulted in this outcome? Because when you are able to analyze and look at what the problem is rather than just being angry at the problem, it gives you tools to actually figure out ways to overcome the problem. So tip number 1 is analyze what the frustration is. Analyze what has gone wrong. Think about what the problem is, and this will allow you to avoid negativity to take over. When you are frustrated, if you don't know how to handle it, you will go into a tailspin. You will go into a place where you're angry, you're pissed off, you're frustrated, and you will act according to the negative emotion. If you act according to your negative emotion, you can almost guarantee that the outcome of that emotion is going to be a negative outcome. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, in terms of how to effectively handle and overcome frustration, is take a break. Sometimes when we are on the same thing and we're making no progress, sometimes all we need is just a timeout. Like, instead of just constantly banging your head against this wall that doesn't seem to want to break, relax, take a deep breath in, chill, and do something else. Divert your mind onto something else, so that by the time you have done something else and you go back to the task, or you go back to the issue, or you go back to the problem, you have a better mindset towards it. I mentioned this yesterday, but in psychology and in life coaching, and I do this a lot with my clients during my life coaching sessions with them, I like to do what is called a break state. This is where you may be focused on something, or you may have an intense emotion about something, and then all of a sudden I will ask you to do something completely unrelated to what it is that you're currently focusing on. Why? Because when you can break state, when you can change the state of your mind, when you can switch the direction of where your brain is in that moment, you allow your brain to relax on the issue that has been causing you problems. And so by the time you've done something else, like gone for a walk, gone for an exercise, work on a completely different project, spend time with your family, whatever it is, and however long you want to take that break for, by the time you have taken that break and you come back to the issue, you will find that you will have a different and better perspective to deal with that issue. So let me give you tip number 3. So the first tip is to analyze what went wrong. The second tip is to take a break. The third tip is to manage your anger. 9 times out of 10, frustration will always lead to anger, because frustration is a heightened form of emotion that next leads to the next level, which is anger. Now, if you act and if you allow anger to overtake you and to run you, you will end up acting in ways that will either sabotage what it is that the issue is, or cause you to do things that you will later on regret. So you have to learn how to manage your anger. Some of the physical ways of managing your anger is to literally stop. Like, there are many times when, my kids, or I will be in a situation where I am mad as hell. Like, you guys don't want to see me when I'm angry. If you think I'm calm and I'm always high bubbly, you do not want to see me when I am on red. Because when I'm on red, everything explodes. But what I've learned is that when I feel that heightened sense of anger, no matter what it is I'm doing, even if I'm in the middle of a sentence, once I feel the anger, I will stop dead in my tracks. And when I stop in my tracks, I take a moment to just breathe. And there are times where I have to walk away from the situation. There are times where I have to switch my mind off from the situation in order for me to get a level of calmness. Because anger can be such a destructive emotion to have. You can destroy relationships with anger. You can destroy opportunities because of anger. You can destroy blessings because of anger. And so it's really, really, really important that we do not get so sucked up into frustration that we are not able to harness and manage when we feel angry. So one of the other ways of dealing with anger is doing something physical. Not physical like hitting, but physical in a positive way. It may mean going out for a walk. It may mean taking a cold shower. It may mean, drinking some water. It may mean doing some exercise. Whatever it may be, it may mean that you doing something physical will help you to switch from being angry to a place of greater calm. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 1, analyze what went wrong when you're frustrated. Take a break when you feel frustrated. Manage your anger when you feel frustrated. And number 4, be positive. We talked about this so much yesterday in day 3, which was about how to overcome negative thoughts. And a lot of it is about when you are in a place of feeling frustrated, try and bring to your mind the times where you have succeeded in other areas. I said the other day that you have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be your biggest supporter. And there's a scripture in the Bible that I really love so much that talks about David encouraged himself in the Lord. In other words, he took responsibility for lifting himself up in order for him to surpass some of the difficulties that he was experiencing at the time. And that's the same thing that we have to do. When you are feeling frustrated, you have to find in the deep resources of yourself positive things that you can bring out to help you lift up your vibration and help you to move in a better direction. And this is why a consistent habit of thinking positively, of encouraging yourself, of listening to positive things, of surrounding yourself with positive people and positive content, these are the things that will help you to have a default response when frustration comes. When you can think about past successes, when you can think about the things that you have done well, when you can think about the fact that if somebody else has been able to overcome this and somebody has been able to deal with this, it also means that I can do it. What you're actually eventually doing and creating in yourself is a level of motivation. We talked about motivation in day 2. Right? We talked about the fact that motivation is that thing that drives you to keep going even when things don't align well. So the bonus tips that I would like to share with you today, which will make number 5, is maintain an attitude of detachment. Now, let me tell you what detachment means, and then I'll explain how this works. Detachment is the ability to stay calm and poised in difficult and stressful situations. It is about not allowing your negative emotions or negative thoughts to disturb you in such a way that it affects you adversely. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that when you have an emotion, when you have a thing that's frustrating you, don't be so emotional about it. Don't allow yourself to be so carried away with the emotional frustration. Allow yourself to have a distance between what the problem is and your integrity and your calmness. This means put yourself in a place of calm positioning. Put yourself in a place of poise where you can rationally look at the problem without being overwhelmed. This means that if you can have a certain degree of detachment, you will have a better way of looking at the situation and a better way of dealing with the situation. That means understanding that you are not your emotions. The frustration you feel does not have to be the embodiment of who you are. You can feel frustrated and still remain a calm and poised person. You can feel frustrated and still remain someone who is positive, because you understand that frustration does not have to form your identity. And you also understand that emotions are very temporary. right? How many of you have felt really pissed off in one moment, and then before you know it, something has happened, you're laughing in the same time frame? It means that your emotions come and go. So why allow your emotions to come and be the embodiment of who you are? Doesn't make sense. And this is what I mean about maintaining an attitude of detachment. Don't take things personally. If things are not working out, if someone is pissing you off, if the situation keeps coming back, don't take it as a thing to be personal, to be hurt about. Rather, look at it as an opportunity to learn a lesson that is clearly embedded in the thing. Because here's what I believe, guys. When you encounter difficulties, when you encounter situations over and over and over again, it's a lesson that is trying to be communicated to you. And if you don't learn the lesson, it's just going to keep coming back. It will come in different ways. So whenever you are in a difficult situation, whenever you are frustrated, learn to ask yourself, what is the lesson in this thing? What am I supposed to gain out of this situation? If you can train your mind to respond to difficult scenarios, difficult people, difficult situations, frustrating circumstances, you will find that you overcome these issues so much faster and so much quicker. So that was bonus tip number 2. I can see someone speaking in tongues here. You guys are so funny. I can't. So number 6 is to stay active. And what I mean by this is, don't ever give up on your dreams. As frustrating as it is, never get to a place where you feel so hopeless that you feel that you can't pursue your dreams. It may mean you have to relook and reconsider how you approach your dreams. It may mean you have to make changes. It may mean you have to make some changes. But if it's a dream that you know in the deepest hearts of your desires is what you want, don't give up on it. Stay active towards it. You may have to find another route to get to the same destination. Go ahead and find another route. You may have to leave a circle of people to get to the destination. Go ahead and make new circles of people. Whatever you have to do, do not stop on moving towards your goals. Never, ever, ever give up. The feelings of frustration is tempting for us to give up. It's tempting for us to just say, you know what, I'm done. If you failed, pick yourself back up again and try again. There's an inventor called Thomas Edison, and I believe he was the inventor of the light bulb. Before he was able to find crack and what am I supposed to gain out of this situation? If you can train your mind to respond to difficult scenarios, difficult people, difficult situations, frustrating circumstances, you will find that you overcome these issues so much faster and so much quicker. So that was bonus tip number 2. I can see someone speaking in tongues here. You guys are so funny. I can't. So number 6 is to stay active. And what I mean by this is, don't ever give up on your dreams. As frustrating as it is, never get to a place where you feel so hopeless that you feel that you can't pursue your dreams. It may mean you have to relook and reconsider how you approach your dreams. It may mean you have to make changes. It may mean you have to make some changes. But if it's a dream that you know in the deepest hearts of your desires is what you want, don't give up on it. Stay active towards it. You may have to find another route to get to the same destination. Go ahead and find another route. You may have to leave a circle of people to get to the destination. Go ahead and make new circles of people. Whatever you have to do, do not stop on moving towards your goals. Never, ever, ever give up. The feelings of frustration is tempting for us to give up. It's tempting for us to just say, you know what, I'm done. If you failed, pick yourself back up again and try again. There's an inventor called Thomas Edison, and I believe he was the inventor of the light bulb. Before he was able to finally crack and understand how a light bulb functions, he had 10,000 failures. And do you know what he said? He said these 10,000 failures were not failures. They were only feedback on what didn't work. And so it meant that there was another way for this thing to work. What a fantastic mindset shift to have. If you can look at your setbacks in life, if you can look at your failures in life as feedback to say that, you know what, whatever is going on, I know that I have the answer. If you can look at all of these things and see them as feedback to tell you that, okay, this is not the way, so it must mean there's another way, you will never feel like giving up on your dreams. So those are my tips, guys. Those are the 6 tips that I have for you. And here's the task that I want you to think about today. Today, your task is this. I want you to think about something that has frustrated you recently in the past. Something that has made you feel like, you know what, I'm just tired. I can't deal with this anymore. And I want you to find how you can apply these tips that I have shared with you today. Now, guys, you know what the rule is of the challenge. Of course, I would like you to tag me in your posts today. So I'm going to do a nice post for you. Yesterday I did this post. So today I think I'm just going to do like a post like this. So this is your time to screenshot, guys. Screenshot, right? So now I want you to screenshot what you have taken, and I also want you to tag me. Tag me on what key tips you have learned today. What have you taken away today from the 6 things that I have shared about how you can overcome and handle frustrating times? Don't forget your homework. Your homework is to think about the thing that has recently frustrated you and apply these tips to that situation. And tag me to let me know how you get on.